Welcome to American Dreams. Today, my guest is Joseph Grenny. Joseph, welcome to today's show.
So happy to be with you.
So Joseph, can you share about your background and how you got to where you're at today with the Other Side Village?
It's a long, tortured story, but I'll give you the short version. So my professional work has been in the field of applied social science. We worked with companies for the past 35 years. I started a company back in 1990 that today has 15,000 trainers across the world, has worked with about half of the Fortune 2000 companies, and trying to help them just help people behave in ways that produce better outcomes. So to me, the two most important questions that we ever ask are, number one, why are people behaving the way they behave? And how do you help them change? How do you help them change in ways to lead to better lives and to better social outcomes and better economic outcomes and so forth? So that was my professional work. And I wrote a book, co-authored a number of books, but one that I wrote on the subject of how you create profound and lasting behavior change in 2005 brought me in contact with this model of human change for those with long histories of crime, addiction, and homelessness. And I couldn't get it out of my head until two of my boys started down a dark path, got incarcerated themselves, addicted to heroin and other harmful substances. And I found myself feeling this enormous gap between the science I thought I understood and two real challenges in my life that I felt completely baffled about how to help overcome. And my wife and I have a belief that if you can't fight the battle you want to fight, you get into the war. So we decided to get into the war and focused our attention on trying to create options for helping those with long histories of challenge in their lives to create a better life, to be able to achieve their best potential. And that's what brought me to talk with you here today.
Now, the Other Side Village, with the inspiration of what was going on in your personal life and also what you saw professionally, how did it really come about? In other words, you had to start somewhere with the vision to say, hey, let's go do this and work on solving the problem.
Part of it started with a recognition that the way we've defined the problem is completely wrong. So when you encounter a homeless encampment, and we've all had that experience driving by and seeing people in pitiful circumstances and thinking, I don't want to live on a planet where some of my brothers and sisters in the world are living like that. And the first thing that you answer in your mind before you take any action is, what's the real problem here? If you define it as a housing problem, you start providing housing. If you define it as a mental health problem, you start providing mental health services. If you define it as a vocational skills problem, you'll start chasing that path. And the problem is that we tend to define it the wrong way. We define it as an asset problem. We say people are missing something, so if we give them that, it'll solve the problem. When in fact, if you've been homeless for 5, 10, 15 years, the problem is no longer a lack of assets. The problem becomes a behavior challenge. The problem becomes that I've learned a lifestyle. I've learned how to deal with life's challenges in a particular way that keeps me stuck in these circumstances. The same is true of criminal recidivism. If I've been arrested 25 times, which our average student at the Other Side Academy has, the problem is no longer that I can't get a job or can't get housing or other things. It's I've learned a certain way of living. That's a different problem to take on. And our entire rehab industry, our entire helping industry, I think is organized around a bureaucratic convenience model rather than a human change model. The way you got to where you are, now I don't know you very well yet, Alan, but the way I got to where I am is I was embedded in a certain kind of community. There were people around me that had expectations, that held me accountable, that trained me, that mentored me, that opened doors for me. It was a community that helped me get to where I am. And so if you look at somebody who's in the middle of an encampment, what keeps them stuck is the community they're embedded in. So if you want to help them change, creating 15 different government departments that I have to access one at a time, and then a wraparound case manager that hopefully helps me stitch all those together, doesn't tend to work. What I need is accountability, mentoring. I need sustained relationships that help me to move in a different direction. And that's what the Other Side Academy, that's what the Other Side Village provide.
It seems like it's an easy solution, yet it's hard to implement. billions of dollars have been spent trying to solve the homelessness. And it seems like today the problem is continuing to get much worse. Why is that?
Uh, to me, it's because we've got the wrong paradigm. If what you're doing isn't working, you can either double down or you can step back and redefine the problem. So, by contrast to what you're saying, at the Other Side Academy, we currently have 250 students living on a campus in downtown Salt Lake City and in downtown Denver, Colorado, that collectively were facing 2,500 years of incarceration. So that's where they were headed. They had served much of that same number of time previous to coming, but they had reoffended. They were on their way to prison or jail. Right now, they're living in two different campuses where their neighborhoods love them. You know, when have you ever heard that? When have you ever heard of a neighborhood when you said, we're going to move 150 felons next door to you, that they raised their hands and said, yippee, bring them in? And the reason that they love us in Salt Lake City and in Denver is the crime rate drops when we come in. We provide services. So our students have started social enterprises. They don't charge the government anything to participate. They don't have a mom or dad that pays anything either. It's completely free. They participate because they run social enterprises that generate the income that supports the house. And that's not just the funding model, that's the therapeutic model. Our belief is that if what you've got to do is learn how to live in a healthy community, the best way to learn to do that is to practice living in a healthy community for a long time until it becomes you, till it becomes routine. So our students stay a minimum of 2.5 years. Many elect to stay 3 or 4 years, and some even longer than that, because they've got 40 years of relearning to do. But it's a wonderful, safe, harmonious place that's beloved of the community. Well, we announced that we were starting the Other Side Village in West Salt Lake City. We told 2 neighborhoods we're going to bring 500 homeless people to live right next door to you. And in most places, people would be passing petitions, lighting torches, holding pitchforks, and storming the place. Instead, we had 90% of those neighbors saying, great, if it's you guys coming, bring it on, because they knew that this was going to be a harmonious, safe, sober, self-reliant community, and it would lift the profile of the rest of the neighborhood. And that's what's happening. So if you do it right, if you define the problem right, if you solve it right, you end up spending less money and getting better results. And that's precisely what's happening with the village and the academy.
How do you create a culture of accountability within the village?
It starts from day one. It starts from the first contact. So today, as you and I speak, there are 2 parts of the Other Side Village. First is the prep school. So the prep school is an acknowledgement that if I've been living, our average resident in the village has been homeless for 9 years. So if I've been living on the streets, eating out of dumpsters and waking up face down in a ditch for 9 years, it's going to take me some work before I'm going to be able to be self-reliant. That's why the prep school exists. And so the way you enter the prep school is people who are currently in the prep school, people who are sophomores or juniors or seniors who progressed a little bit, are out in the encampments every day. And they're talking to some of the people that they knew from there and saying, hey, do you want a different life? Come with me. When they enter the prep school, there's first an introductory period. They have a chance to just hang out there for a few hours and see what life is like. They see their people that they used to be in the encampment with that are getting up in the morning, that have a job and a purpose, that learn to get along with one another, that are cooking and cleaning and taking care of themselves. And then they go back to the encampment and they think about it. And if they think that seems appealing, they come back again. And then they present themselves. So here's the first step, Alan. If you want to form a community, you need the community to be involved with any induction. So when I'm a new person and I show up and there's 25 other people in the prep school, I have to present myself to them and tell them that here's who I am, here are my challenges, here's what I need to work on, and will you please accept me? And then they vote. Their voting implicates them in my growth. That's how you start to stitch a community of mutual responsibility together. So that vote is taken, and boy, I wish you and I had the opportunity to be there together or to show some of your listeners today. Imagine the moment when I, who've been homeless for 9 years, see 24 hands go up and say, I want you here. I mean, there's a feeling of respect. There's a feeling of hope that's just that's unwittingly transferred in that moment. And so then I begin. And I come tomorrow, and trust me, the first morning when I'm at the prep school, I'm probably going to not get up on time. And now the question is what happens? Or I'm going to be lazy and leave my dishes in a sink, or I'm going to have a sloppy room, or I'm not going to shave. I'm not going to shower that day. I'm going to just do the things that I've been doing for the last 9 years. Now what's going to happen is what we call a resolution group. The 24 people that voted me in are going to sit down with me and say, Joseph, you stink. And we don't want to be around you when you smell like that. You need to shower. You told us you were going to. Are you going to do that? The way human behavior changes most rapidly is if we're in a culture where people won't accept our current behavior and they give us feedback. Social norms are the strongest impetus to human change of any that we're aware of. So stronger than incentives, stronger than morals and values. This is why prison systems perpetuate gang behavior and violent behavior, because it's a norm system that expects that of you. In the village, the opposite happens. You're expected to get up on time. You're expected to work hard, support yourself, solve problems with others, hold them accountable. And literally within a matter of hours, that's exactly what people are doing. There's a woman in the prep school right now who's coming off of heroin. And so she's taking Suboxone. Suboxone gets you high. It's an alternative drug, and so it's not the long-term solution. And every day she wants to say, I want more Suboxone, more Suboxone, more Suboxone. Well, if she was just talking to a professional counselor, that person would be unconditionally supportive and validating and kind and patient. When you're around 24 other previous drug addicts, you hear something different. And some of them are just going to say, just stiffen your spine a little bit. Just get up and try to work a little harder. We did it too. You can also. That kind of environment helps people get to a healthier place faster than any other. And that's exactly what's happening there. We have 100% sobriety rate there. No relapsing going on. People that for 6 to 12 months are preparing to live differently by practicing living differently.
We use the word self-reliant, but let's be a little bit more specific. What type of activities do individuals do when they go to work in the village?
They run social enterprises. So the first social enterprise that was started for the Other Side Village is called the Other Side Doughnuts. And it's a beautiful retail space, these magical looking donuts, and they're prepared by people that are getting up at 2:00 in the morning to get ready for the 7:00 store opening in a way that they haven't been doing for 10, 15, 20 years. It's hard to do. And they're held to high standards. These confections have to be perfect. And so people don't buy your donuts because they feel sorry for you. They buy your donuts because they love them, because they're delicious donuts. So that enterprise was started about 1.5 years ago. And the gutsy residents of the Other Side Prep School said, hey, I heard there's this thing called the Utah Dough Show here coming up in May. And we said, yeah. And they said, we want to compete. And you know, Alan, the biggest problem we have in helping people change is the bigotry of low expectations. And I realized in that moment I suffered from it too, because I wanted to lower their expectations and say, hey, we're only 6 months into this. Maybe next year, let's get a little practice under our belts. Shame on me. Shame on me for doing that. The fact that we expect nothing from people shows that we see nothing in them, and they live down to those expectations in general. So I got out of their way and I said, go for it. And they spent weeks trying to perfect a recipe. They went to the dough show, which, I mean, this is the Academy Awards of Donuts. And so the most coveted award is called the Crowd Favorite Award. You can get the Judges Award by sucking up to the right people, but the Crowd Favorite Award, you got thousands of people that have to vote for your donut. These folks hustled in the aisles, handing out their donuts, encouraging people to vote for them, and they won the freaking show. They won Crowd Favorite first time out, and now are competing for the second year in a row. And what I hope everybody listening appreciates is that's a self-redefining moment. You start seeing yourself as situated differently in society in moments when you actually accomplish something than if anybody hands you a pair of socks, feeds you a free meal at Thanksgiving, or gives you a little Christmas gift because they feel pity for you when you're on the streets. And not to take away from people that have that kind of kindness, but that does not change a life. And so that's what you're doing. You're getting up in the morning, you're making donuts, you're dealing with customers, and you're trying to get along with colleagues who aren't always living up to the standard that you want them to. And that's what they do.
Now, currently you're in 2 areas, the Denver area and Salt Lake. What's the vision for the Other Side Villages? You anticipate expansion?
Yes. So what we're trying to do is build the model first. And so we want to demonstrate to the world that it's possible for 500 formerly homeless people to be self-reliant, to not be a fundraising challenge forever. So we're raising the capital to build the capital infrastructure, but the operational expenses are the villager's responsibility. And so if you go to this village, it's one of the most beautiful places that you can imagine. It's got amenities, as most homeless resource sites have. It has a 600-seat performance hall. It has a delicatessen. It has a gymnasium. It has a walking path that goes around the village. It's got social enterprise on site, and it's clean, it's sober. And I mean, you just haven't seen this before because we have low expectations. Because what we've done is exercise that bigotry of low expectations and turned asset transfers, substituted asset transfers for behavior change. And what people on the streets know is that in order for them to live a different life, they're going to need to change. They just need help doing that. So the vision is to finish the 430 homes at the current site, to start 4 other social enterprises. So we've got 2 others in the works right now that will be spinning up in the next few months, establish this community, and then make it a teaching hospital. Our hope is to be able to share this model with every city in the world that needs it.
When these villages are put up in the homes, how does that interact with people? Are they renting as long as they're there, or how does this all work?
Yeah, so when people graduate from the prep school in 6 to 12 months, they're sober, they're financially self-reliant, and they're employed. So 79% of those who enter the prep school complete. So they're doing this. They're actually sticking it out and doing the hard work. And when they complete, they're employed. So they have the option of getting jobs outside the village if they want, or there are jobs on site and related to the village, which everybody so far has chosen to do because there's a wonderful community environment, and they pay rent. So yeah, they pay it's a moderated rent based on their income, but that contributes about 40% of the revenue required to offset the budget of the village.
Now, we talked about donuts. What other type of skill sets are the village residents being taught?
So that's the first social enterprise. The second that's opening here in the next 30 days is the Other Side Foods. And these are healthy freeze-dried snacks. So it's a packaged foods business, and we're spinning that one up right now. We've been testing it in a variety of sites for the past 6 months, and customers are going crazy over the products. And so it's a good offset to what the damage we're doing to the world with the donuts. We're going to try to offset that a bit with the healthy snack business. The third social enterprise that will start in the next 6 months is the Other Side Inn. So we have a hotel operation on site where we have 21 small homes, all uniquely decorated, that will be a hotel operation for people in surrounding neighborhoods. It's going to be gorgeous, and it's going to kill it. That will contribute about $1 million a year to the budget of the village. And so all of these are substantial enterprises. Our students at the Other Side Academy generated $11 million in income last year. So these are not pet little hobby businesses. These are serious contributors to the self-reliance of the community.
What type of help do you need right now if a person says, hey, I'd like to get involved with the Other Side Village?
Well, we need customers and we need capital. So again, the commitment is for this to be self-reliant. When the Other Side Academy started 10 years ago, we committed within 2.5 years to be financially self-reliant. We made it in 15 months. We expect the same at the village. Now, this is going to be a heavier lift because it's 500 people. So some of the on-site services that are available to support mental health and medical and other things are a bit more expensive. But within 3 years, we will accomplish the same. And so what we're looking to do right now is raise the capital to build the village. And we also just need customers. So people love donuts, check us out. If you like healthy snacks, check us out.
Where do you expect the Other Side Village to be in the next 3 to 5 years?
Our hope is that we can accomplish 3 things. So the first is to build and establish the model. We're very far along with that already. We've been able to show a high success rate with people graduating from the prep school, good stability of people in the village. So far, so good there. The second is to make it replicable. But the third is we want to provoke a national conversation on homelessness. And we want to challenge what we think is an unconscious bigotry of low expectations in the current system. We think that the way we're doing it is wrong, and we hope that many people feel deeply uncomfortable when they come and see a community that is self-reliant, where lives are changing. And it all begins with people being held accountable to do that. So we've created a system that enables people to stay stuck where they are rather than supporting them in change. And we're hoping that changes somewhat because of our influence.
Where does a person find more information on getting involved in the Other Side Village?
TheOtherSideVillage.com is a good place to go. If you want to learn about the Academy, our sister organization, TheOtherSideAcademy.com is a great place to look as well.
Joseph, thanks for being with us today.
My pleasure. Appreciate your time.